First of all, a few words about us. My name is Benedikt Ramsauer. I'm with Xavier that you may see on the screen. We are data scientists, the co-founders of Swiss Statistical Design and Innovation, Swiss SDI in short. We are a young company specializing in data science, AI, and machine learning. We aim to provide decision-making tools to reinforce humans in companies. And we follow our customer at each steps towards a data-driven company, from strategical advice to solution development. And today I want to talk about the topic, a link between data science and business, discover the business data science canvas. I will do that through these 4 points. First of all, give you a bit of contextualization on how was it born, then talk about the canvas and explain how does it work. My colleague Xavier will provide you with a complete example on how to use it. And finally, we will have a take-home message on what to remember. So first of all, contextualization, how was it born? So we are here, you can see on the picture, the proud 4 founders of Swiss SDI. And when we start our company, data science is making its debut in Switzerland. Most companies that we go and see and meet do not know where to start in this journey. And we have to explain them a bit the how-tos of data science, especially how to start a project in data science. And we see at this point that all our meetings have the same informal and underlying structure. And we think maybe we should do something about it. And in the summer of 2019, we sat down and write each step of what we were telling people at each part of these meetings. And we are able to provide a first version of the business data science Canva. Since then, we are using it on all our projects. It is working for local and international companies. And I showed you this slide because I want to be sure that you understand that it's for everyone and everyone can use it. It's also, we had a lot of interest also from both the management world and the technical world, from the technical data science world, where we shared it to the Swiss Management Project Association and also at the Applied Machine Learning Days at the EPFL. So really these both world of management and technical. And today my goal is to give you a sense on how to use this canvas so that you're able to better articulate your data science project. So here you have a QR code if you want to go and check it. It's free, no email asked, nothing. Our goal here is really for you to use it at the end if you're interested, and you will be able to see also the link at the end. So the business data science Canva, how does it work? To understand how it works, I want to talk about 3 main issues that we saw when we met with companies. The first huge issue that we had is that we had a lack of well-defined problematics. The second was a huge missing link between business and data science. That's a topic that has been run through all these 2 days of conference. And finally, and I think it's also interesting, is that when someone was thinking to use data as a solution, it was only a technology point of view. And the human at the end was always a bit left out. We wanted to do AI and use technology. So the business data science Canva aims at solving this problem. So I've been talking about it for a few moments. Now you can see it. And many of you may recognize it obviously as an interpretation of the business model canvas from Ostwalder and Pigneur. Obviously, if you want to do something, base yourself on something great. And the goal here really is to create and build a field-oriented data science project. And we think that the unique value proposition that you will find if you would like to use it is that it provides you a link between the business needs and the data science need on one single piece of paper. We have been talking about that, this link during the whole conference. So to dig a bit deeper in this canvas, I will go through 4 main axes. The first one, your problematic, which will be the central part. The left part will be about data and technique. The bottom part about business, and the right part about human. So first of all, the problematic. What you need here to fill it up is have a well-defined problematic. And I can go back to just the previous presentation from Nicolas from Mercedes, where he said, ask the right question, which is related to the business. And here is something that you have to do. You have to put a specific problematic. Often we had people saying, we want predictive maintenance when we came to the companies. It's not as problematic. It may be a way of solving a problem, but it's not a problem. It's really the key element, because if you have no problem, why searching for a solution? And when you work with such a tool, usually you have a lot of ideas. And we really advise you to use one model for one problematic. You might have multiple canvas, one after another, but just focus on one problematic. Then we can go to a focus of data, where you have to write which type of solution you want to do and solve, how you want to solve your problematic. Here, you have to write the idea, and it has to be really coupled with the field requirements. On the far left, you have the data. What are the useful data? The data that are available to you, which one where you can find it, and the data that might be collectible, that you don't have, or you don't know where or maybe you don't have yet. Data will be your raw material of your project, so you have to really know what you need and where to get it. Finally, for the data focus, we have the success criteria. The success criteria allows you to assess the model quality. From a technical point of view, it's usually your loss function. But here, the main point is, since your problematic is something that is business related, that's often written in words, then the success criteria is the equivalent in a mathematical term. It's the job of your data scientist to write a good translation between French, English, and mathematics. And it's also the cornerstone to switch to the business focus there, because the success criteria allows the business to know whether a project is successful also. And the success criteria, if done well, allows you also to measure the gain that you will have through this project. For example, if you have a product line and you know that you have 94% of parts that are good, you know that increasing this rate to 95%, 96% will increase your revenue and decrease your loss. So here it's really the cornerstone. And if you want to have more in-depth analysis, then the real bottom part here talks about the return on investments. The presentation from Mercedes before went in great depth there, but you have the business advantages and you have the cost structure that you have to manage. And on the far left, you have the constraints, what type of the thing that you need to remember. Finally, the use here is the cornerstone for this next step for a human, because if you are doing an algorithm, then you want to plan action, concrete action that implies your business life. And it's the focus to human and translation to human, because the use is how will the end user use it also at the end? How will it interact with the algorithm? And there I go back to the conference from Marina, from Tim, where we also talked a bit about the inclusion of the user during the process. And now you need to integrate the user, know who is your user, which will be the box on the top. And finally, also the integration and how you will be using it to work. Is it on the field? Is it on an iPad? Or how, when, and how much you will use it? Finally, you have the box, the key actors, that really is meant for you to write down each names that will be part of the project, what will be required for them, what will be their responsibility. So here you have an overall focus on how to use the business data science Canva, and my colleague Xavier will provide you with a complete example on how to use it.
Yes, thank you, Benedikt. So like you say, my goal is not to present you a complete example on how you can fill this business data science Canva. And as a Swiss company, I really struggled choosing whether to present you a chocolate or watch related example. But at the end, I believe it would be a little bit too hard speaking to you about chocolate at lunchtime. So I prepared a watch related example. And this example is inspired from a work we did for one of our customers, and with only a slight modification. So we will concentrate on the production line of mechanical movement, and we'll focus on the assembling chain. So at this stage of the production, every piece of the watch is done, is ready. And in the same idea as a 3D puzzle, we want to assemble them. And at the end of the assembling, the result is what we call a movement. And so you understand the whole concept. The movement is then sell or then it's sent to another department or to a customer to put it in the watch head. And the watch head is what you got on your wrist, basically. So here you have two mechanical parts that we want to assemble. Those one are called cold wheels. And in the watch industry, usually we have a really nice lean management system. So we know tolerance range for every pieces. So in this example, you have, for example, the first one with 4.1 millimeters, the second one 4.9, and both of them are in the correct tolerance range for the pieces. But we have a specific question here, and this question is, can we assemble those pieces? Are both pieces suitable? And you have to keep in mind that in this concept of a movement, you don't have only two pieces, but you have more than 100 pieces. So that's basically a perfect machine learning use case. And this is the ground of our problematic. So now we can jump to the data science Canva again and see the problematic. And so we have basically too many movements are rejection in the testing phase, so in the last step of the production line. And we know that part of this is due to bad piece combination that are individually in the correct tolerance range. And that's we know what we do with this to solve this problem by now. It's that we will do some manual check and manual correction. And this is a good problematic because we have symptoms. For example, here we have too big a rejection rate. We have an intuition on how to solve it. For example, here we know that it may be due to a bad piece combination. And we also know how people deal with this problematic by now. Like I said, this is a manual checking and manual correction. Also, we really like to put the problematic in a smart sense. Maybe you know smart objectives. So this is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, and we can see that this problematic checked all these points. Then we can jump to the solution, and like Benedikt said, the solution is defined by the problematic. So here, what do we want? We want to predict movement quality based on piece measurement and past tests. And the idea, the goal is to build a recommendation tool based on piece combination. So we need to ensure that the solution solves the problem. That seems pretty obvious, but it's always a good recall. And if you want to go further here in machine learning description, you can. That's the place to do it. But you should remember that this business data science Canva should be understood by every key actors. So there may be people that do not understand the data science language, and you have to be conscious of that. In order to build the solution, we need data, obviously. And so here is the part when we want to list them. We can detail them and we can see which one are available, which are collectible, or maybe unavailable simply. And so as a data scientist, maybe you already have experienced that sometimes you're surprised to see which kind of data could be missing. And so we need piece measurement, movement ID, test results. But in the watch industry process, it's pretty common that you're missing the movement IDs. So it seems surprising, but that's a reality on the field. And so that's why I suggest to put in the collectible, the QR code ID. That's a solution that's pretty famous, or that's a global idea concept to have a movement ID identification. Then we have the success criteria. So the success criteria is the reduction of rejection rate at the testing bench. And that's a good point here because it can be understood by everyone. It's easily measurable. And that's a good link between data science and the business. And if you want to, I would encourage you also to go further in the description and here more precise. If you want to say that you need 3% reduction in terms of rate, then that's also the place to do it. So you can be really, really precise here if you want. And so, like I said, that's the pivot between data and the business. So we can jump into this part. And so here we have the constraint, and the constraint is the place where you can put everything you have in mind, everything that could bother you at some time in the project. And here I wrote two specific constraints. The first one is the quality of the tool. So we are in the luxury industry, so we have really high standards in terms of quality, and we have to keep in mind that the model should be really good. And if you tell to the watchmaker that the product, the movement is okay, it should be really okay. And then you have the computation time. Maybe you have to keep in mind that you have a massive amount of prediction to do each amount of time, each minute, for example, and so that may be something you want to keep in mind. Then you have the business advantages, and the business advantages that will build the return on investment, the ROI, together with the cost structure. So here we have the reduction of rejection in test bench, the optimization of movement creation, and an improve of the repair time. So that's although there is a big correlation with the problematic. We had 3 points in the problematic, and we have 3 points there. And we can see that every step of the problematic is also solved and has a business advantages. So the reduction of rejection in test bench is basically that we will have less in and out movement in the test bench. The optimization of movement creation is that we know better how to build a new movement because we have recommendation tool on which part to assemble with which other. And then we have the improve of repair time, because if we have some manually check that has to be done, maybe the tool can also give some clue of where to check at the very beginning the movement. Then we have the cost structure. So in the cost structure, we have everything that will be paid by the company to build this solution. So we have the installation of robust movement unique ID, the QR code I spoke a little bit earlier. Here I just put this example so you can make the link to think that sometimes collecting new data may have some cost, and it's important also to remember this. Then you have the data science tool, that's more or less the brain of the solution, so you have to think about this. The dashboard, the visualization, the interaction. You have the hardware, where you will put concretely the solution, where you will integrate it. And then you have the internal human resources. I put it minimal because in this project it was externalized, but you have also some minimal internal HR that you need to plan. And then we can jump to the users, and I identified 2 users there. The first one is a group, that's the production line operators. So it's a group of people, and then we have the production line manager, a single person. And so those actors have different needs, and they will have different interaction with the tool, and they need to see different information. We can imagine that, for example, the production line operators need a really day-to-day or hour-to-hour point of view of how the production line going, and the production line manager maybe needs some feedback every month or every week. They have basically different needs. That's something that's well known in IT in general, when we speak about user experience, UX, for example. But strangely, that's something that's not a huge preoccupation for most data scientists, and we think that's a mistake. Then we have the integration, and the integration is we follow the wish of the customer to put it in directly in the production line. We can put it in the Raspberry Pi. It wasn't something really it was quite weight lighted. And then we are integrating the dashboard with an existing BI tool. So we usually suggest to use the existing infrastructure, but sometimes depending on the policy of the company, it's easier to build an ad hoc infrastructure. So that could be a solution also. And then we have the use, and the use is more or less how we can take decision with the tool. So it's really important, and for us that's the pivot, like Benedikt said, the pivot point between business and the user, and that's also the bridge between the statistical results and the actionable. So here I choose to distinguish two different kind of confidence level. The first one is the automatic validation, and the second one is the manual validation. And this is a recall because we spoke about the luxury industry and the really high expectancy in terms of quality of model that I put it in the constraints. And here we have the correlation, because maybe if we are not sure enough, it's better to have a manual validation, manual check, so that we can double check the movement and then we know if it's good or not. And in some cases, we have the automatic validation because we know it's really perfect. So we can directly send it to the next customer. That's also the place if you want to have interaction, like the feedback transmission. For us, that's the good place to put it. And if you want with an interaction like a feedback, you can have a model that will be better every time you use it, and that will have a continuous improvement basically. Then we have the last step, which is the key actors. And for the key actors, we have the data scientists, we have operator, production chief, IT, specialist watchmaker, and lead business. So here the goal is not to have one person for specific roles, but maybe some people have several roles. But it's important to have all the competencies you need. And also don't forget the field expert. Here is the specialist watchmaker. So if you want to have a good solution with the data science, you have to work together with the specialist watchmaker who knows his job and who knows how to solve problem with movement. So with this, we have a complete data science Canva. And so here we have the full example, full completed example. But the question now is, what did it bring to the customer? And with this, they have a clear vision of the project, and all the key actors that I just listed, everybody can validate the project. So that's really a good way that everyone can be okay with different criteria. And the second point is those criteria that should be checked. So for example, there is the return on investment. So it's important that the business can validate that they want to do it because they see some value in the project. Then there is maybe the IT part that can tell you, okay, data is available, you can build the solution. Then the data science will tell us, okay, it's doable in terms of data science. That's a use case that seems correct. So every actor can validate the general project. And also we include the human aspect to the project. And at the very beginning of the project, when at the same time we are formulating the problematic, we are including the human aspects and the interaction aspect. So that's almost everything. I just have a last point, what to remember to this tool, and I summarize it in three main points. So the first one is that the business data science Canva is a way to create bridges between data and business. And it's also the second point is that the human AI interaction for us, that's the future. A lot of people are speaking about human machine interaction. For us, it's more precise to speak about human AI interaction. And then last but not least, go on our website. You have the QR code here. You can test it, you can take it and give us your feedback so we can improve this. And the aim of this project is that it can evolve. And if we have your feedback, it will be even better. So thank you a lot, everybody. And I think it's time for questions.
Thank you so much for this amazing presentation. It's not just my word, it's in the chat box as well. That's great adaptation of the framework. Congratulations. And Sean McGill as well is great to see the canvas. So amazing presentation from Irena. Now questions, raise hand, please, so that we can give you the mic or you can type. So in the chat box, can you see the chat box, guys?
Yes.
Yes, if there is anybody asking question. Yeah, we have one raised hand. So Jose, yes, asked to unmute. Now you can go ahead, introduce yourself and question, please.
Yes. Hello, I'm Jose Matias. Thank you for your presentation, guys. I work at AstraZeneca, and I was wondering, so I've gone through a project that involved analytics as well, but we obviously didn't go through a canvas like this, and I can definitely see the advantage of going through this process. But I was wondering, how did your client take the additional work that it is to structure things as you did, compared to just delivering the solution, going to the end of it and saying, okay, guys, please skip all of this. We need the solution. How did you verbalize that to them also?
Well, yeah, thank you. That's an interesting question. Yeah, the thing is, that's our way of working. So we won't do a project with somebody that's only wants the solution and don't want to communicate, exchange with us and think about the solution. So I would say it's a requirement if somebody want to work with us, and that's the way we construct the project. And I would say it's not a lot of additional work. Because that's the way, for example, for the first meeting we can have with a customer, we will begin with filling this canvas. And then we have a better vision of what they want to do. And I say it's really now integrated in our standard process.
Does it answer your question?
I hope.
Thanks a lot. Any other questions?